Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this episode of Grasp the Cloud with Mongo and Konger. I am Mongo, aka Matt Hester. I am with.
Konger, aka Sarah Kong. So welcome everybody. I'm so excited for all of you to join us again. And today we have a little bit of a legend in the house. Would you say a legend, Matt?
Yeah, I would say a legend, but if I say that, he's going to get really egotistical on us.
He
So
might throw
I
you
would say
down a hill again.
let's call him a legendary good friend.
That throws you down hills, right?
Yeah, he throws me down hills over Sonic breakfast burritos. That's a whole nother story for another podcast. But there was a breakfast burrito, which never did get that day, by the way. I will note karma came up and bit him. So, and who is this person we're talking about, Sarah?
Oh, right. We probably should say his name. Welcome, John Savill. How are you?
Hey, great. Thank you for having me.
First of all, did I pronounce that last name right? Is it Saville or
Yeah,
Seville?
Savills great. Yeah,
Saville.
perfect.
So first of all, obviously, if anybody knows of you, you can find you all over YouTube. You do many Azure videos, and we'll get into that shortly. But what I really want to know is about John, the person. So first of all, you don't have a North American accent, I don't
I'm
think.
from East Texas. Just keep going east, and you'll find there eventually. So I'm from the United Kingdom. Most people think I'm from Australia
I
or
thought
South
that
Africa.
too. Yeah.
I'm from the poor part of England, so I don't have the good accent. I don't have the one like the Queen or Hugh Grant. I have the South London one. Um, but yeah, I've been in this country 16 years now, I think. So I've been in Texas a long old time. And really, my whole life, I've been working with technology since kind of the age of 18. I was a VAX VMS systems administrator. And from there, I found Windows. So just always been involved in some kind of technology. That's kind of my passion, my biggest hobby. Um, Outside of computers, my other big hobby is fitness training. Obviously, Matt and I know each other. We've done some of the Disney marathons together. I do Ironman events now as well. So those two things and family keep me very busy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
know.
just for the record, I didn't beat John anytime in Disney, but I did compete. We did start at the same time, roughly,
We
but
did.
we finished together. We ate breakfast afterwards, but I never saw him on the actual run, so I don't know if he ran. He had the medal and everything, but yeah, I didn't win.
That's true. I just jumped in a buggy and pretended I ran it. I never actually do. It's too much hard work. Well, that's sweating. Ugh, who wants to do that?
And I cheered him on with his Ironman. He won a bet. I'd said he was going to suffer, and he's like, "I'll get it done." I had to feed the guy steak, and watching him eat steaks like an art form, it was amazing. But I lost the bet. I honored it with him coming over to my Happy Girl and having steak. So yeah,
He
that's
did
how I
that, kept
actually.
me going. He was like, "Oh, you're never going to finish it." And in my worst moments, I was like, "Must prove Matt wrong. Get
Yes.
free steak." And then it did it.
Well, and that's what's funny is when Sarah and I were talking about having you on as a guest, she's like, you know John? I was like, yeah, I know John. I didn't know John the technologist. I met John the runner and the guy that was running Disney with us together. And he's a Disney, he's a young child just like myself. And then I learned he knew technology after the fact. So that was a cool thing. It's like I backed into the, and then I realized he knows a lot about technology that's there. And so, anyway, so Sarah, I know you got some stuff to talk with John.
Yeah, Matt, I thought you said you were going to stay on mute.
I'm going on mute now.
Just teasing you. I'm just teasing you. No, I was gonna say, yeah, because when you watch your videos, obviously you have that technology, and one of the things that I wanted to learn more about is, first of all, let's talk about the Iron Man side. So, how do you prep for that? Like, that's a huge undertaking. And what is an Iron Man?
Yeah, so an Ironman is it's a type of triathlon, but it's a very long distance triathlon. So it means it's a swim, bike, and run. So it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, then a 26.2 mile marathon. So you do all of those things one after each other. And so it's a lot of training. I mean, I would say anyone can do it. It's just having the time
That's
to
it,
get the
right?
training done, which is I get up at 3 a.m. every day. So Monday to Saturday, I get up at 3 a.m. I train for 3 hours,
Wow.
and then I start work. Saturdays, I get up at 3 a.m. and I do 6-7 hour bike ride. Then I do weight training. It's just
And then
time.
what time do you go to bed?
I go to bed about 8 o'clock, so I go to bed early. So I get
Okay,
7 hours.
get your 7 hours. So
Yep,
eight
I
to
need my
eight.
7. Outside of 7, I'm completely useless.
Yeah, yeah. And you said you have a family as well?
Yep. So I got a wife, 3 kids. So obviously, it's all about partitioning the day. I have a very regimented routine. I divide my day into buckets of sort of training, work, YouTube, writing, family, training. It's very regimented. I do the same thing every day, very strict schedule.
I guess once you get into routine, then anything you can do anything, right? Once, like
Right.
you said, yeah,
It's just a matter of discipline for most of the time. It's what do I want most in life over maybe what I want now. What I want most is to improve my Ironman time. What I want now maybe is to sleep in bed or eat this donut. But hey, what do I really want to achieve in my life? And that's discipline and putting that first.
yeah.
And
I guess yeah. If you want the Ironman time better, then eating a donut won't help you, will it?
it depends where you are in the marathon. I think sometimes a donut would help.
Yeah,
Just a rush
the
of
sugar
sugar
rush.
would be a good thing.
So now, how did you become, I guess, the evangelist of sorts for Azure, especially through YouTube? Like when I teach a class, every time at the end when we talk about exam prep, I always point out your videos, and at least one student in my class knows of you and watches your videos. So how did that come about?
Do you know, I started kind of trying to share information when I was about 19. I started a website called ntfaq.com. And that was all about Windows NT and answering questions. This was before Microsoft had a knowledge base. So I would write these frequently asked questions about Windows NT. And then I did magazine articles, then I did books. And then I always liked using a whiteboard. So I would just start, sometimes I'd do a little whiteboard video to help an article I wrote to explain it. And then I guess it's the last year and a half, 2 years, I really shifted to, I just enjoy doing the whiteboarding more. So I've
Yeah,
stopped doing more of the written stuff. I just enjoy doing the videos. And I find when I create a video, yes, it's about helping other people, obviously, but it helps me learn it better. If I have to be able to explain something to someone else, I have to make sure I know it really well and at a more advanced level so you can explain it. So
right, right.
it's about helping others. I follow these kind of 5 core rules in my life. It's actually from Arnold Schwarzenegger. He has these 5 rules for success. And it's thinking about having a vision, never ever thinking small, ignoring the naysayers, work your butt off, but give something back. So for me, my YouTube channel is all about giving something back to the community. I don't have advertising on it. I don't have Patreon. I don't earn any money from it. It's just my hobby, but it's my way of helping other people. So that's really my goal for it.
Yeah. And that was leading me into the next question. Is it part of your job role, or is it's a hobby? So you
No,
just do it?
no, it's just all, it's my hobby. So all the stuff I create, it's early mornings. So sometimes the videos I'll create like 7:30 in the morning before I start work. Sunday I work all day. So Sundays I get up at 4 a.m. and then so I sleep in an extra hour, and then I'll basically work to about 2-3 p.m. And that's all stuff for prepping for my YouTube channel, recording like a longer video. That's kind of my personal YouTube time and prep time. So
Yeah.
Sunday is kind of work day.
Do you ever get burnt out?
No,
No?
I
You're a
think
true
it,
Iron Man. You just keep going and going.
it's you mix things up. So the Ironman training is kind of it taxes you physically, and you build a certain type of mental strength. Same as doing the marathons, like Matt's done these things. It helps you, I think, build understanding. Sometimes things are a bit of pain, but there's a reward at the end. If you have that vision, what you're trying to get to, it can help make you understand why you're doing something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and John, one thing I can't remember. I know we've talked about this, but when you're on those long rides, is that when you learn your technology? Do you do books online, or you just turn your brain off and go?
Yeah, so when I do the Saturday rides, so that's like 6 hours sitting on a trainer kind of thing. And if I'm trying to learn a certain technology, right, I'll just be watching videos during that of a technology thing. I remember once I was studying identity, and for basically 6 hours, I did nothing but watch OAuth2 videos from various experts. So for 6 hours on my bike ride, I just watched nonstop OAuth2 videos to really cement that in my brain. So
Right.
I use that time. I try not to waste time. Sometimes I will. A few weekends ago, I watched Captain America, the first movie, then The Winter Soldier, then Civil War. I just had a Captain America, so I watched all 3 of those while I was on the bike.
Did you
So
even do
sometimes I just want to chill out. But yeah, sometimes I'll learn.
that? Yeah. Yeah. And then with oh, I know what I want to ask you. So that TV that because I'm a huge whiteboarder. Ask Matt. I actually did, yeah, a snackable whiteboarding, and I
Yeah,
said everyone needs to whiteboard in their class because
they
it's
do.
so
It's a great
vital
way. I
because
just
we're all logical thinkers. Drawing things out. Like every time before I teach a module, I always whiteboard the concepts of what we're going to learn. And then I get into the module. And then people are ready and they know what's coming at them. So one of the things that I've been bugging my manager for, so Peter, if you're listening, is at home, I want like a big monitor like you have. So is that a Surface Hub that you're using? And
No, so it's a Dell. It's a Dell 75-inch interactive screen. I connected up to a regular desktop. So I paid for that myself. Again, my hobby is expensive. So this is all stuff I've bought and I have paid for. So my wife is sometimes like, why are you spending so much money? You don't make any money from this. It's like, well, it's my hobby. I enjoy doing it. But yes, it would have been nice if company. But again, it's not my job. So it's my little fun thing.
So even with all the viewership in YouTube, you don't make any money through that?
I don't have advertising on my channel. If you look, I don't have any banner ads or video ads, or I have everything turned off. I don't want to make money from it. Again, it's that whole, it's me giving something back. If I earn money from it, I don't think it would be quite the same. So I have all that turned off. And also for the people watching, I don't think it's any fun if you're watching a video and there's an advert every 5 or 10 minutes. I think it's very distracting. So this is about helping people learn. I don't want to make money from it.
Yeah. And do you continue, like, are you doing your own Microsoft certifications as well? So are you certified in most of the products you teach? And how?
Yeah, so it's funny. Yesterday I got an email. I passed, what was it, the SC300.
I'm doing that one soon.
So I did the beta and I got the email yesterday saying, oh, you passed it. So, I mean, I take them. I'll be honest, I never study for them. I just take them.
I guess because you're working in the product so much.
Right. I mean, it's kind of a test for me to see, hey, can I just pass it? So I'll just take the exams and hopefully I pass it. Yeah.
Well, and I heard you won a bet a few months ago with some colleagues that you couldn't pass 900 in under 10 minutes or something like that.
Right. Yeah. There was kind of a rush. Hey, so could I finish it in under a certain time? And I did. So yes, there was a speed testing.
So, and then when you do record, how do you decide what you're going to record that day? So what's the thought process for that?
So I have kind of a list. I use the Microsoft To-Do app. So I create a to-do item for videos I think will be fun to create. And then basically on Sunday, when I'm doing my planning, I'll plan out what videos I want to do for the following week. And normally Tuesday, I do a big-ish video. It might be like 40 minutes to an hour. Thursday, I release a smaller one. Maybe it's 20 minutes. And then every Sunday, I release an Azure update, what's happened the previous week. So I kind of just look at, hey, what am I enjoying? Maybe what's new. Sometimes it's what people say, hey, could you create a video on X? I honestly tend not to focus on that too much because obviously everyone maybe has something they care about, but it doesn't mean other people would care about it. So it tends to be, hey, what I enjoy. This is my hobby. It's not my job. So I don't want to create a video on saying I don't want to know or want to enjoy. So I'm kind of selfish from that respect. But I'll pick things that I think are interesting, that I think other people would be interested in. And hey, I just focus on that technology.
Yeah. Now, and do you usually do like a video in one take? Or do you have, the question I'm really looking for is, do you have a blooper reel? We need a blooper reel.
You know, I don't have I was going to say, I don't generally make mistakes. It's weird. Occasionally something will happen. Sometimes I need a drink and so I'll pause it and I'll do but most of my videos, if you look at them, even ones that are like an hour and a half long, it's just one continuous shot.
Yeah.
I plan them out. So when I whiteboard, what I actually do first is I do the whiteboard on my iPad. So I think about, hey, how would I explain this? And I'll sort of go through iterations of what sequence makes the most sense to build the story to explain the technology. So I've already done it on kind of my iPad. I've drafted out what I think it should be. And I have like a OneNote file of the key points I want to make sure. And so I have a monitor down the bottom that has my OneNote open. So as I'm talking, that's just kind of key reminders to me of key stages of my talk to make sure I don't forget stuff. So I plan it out in advance. I'm not just ad-libbing it completely. I'm not that good. Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure. I don't know if Matt, you want to tell your story about falling down a hill. I don't know if we kept our viewers on the edge of their seat long enough, or.
Well, I think it's something we were talking about as we were getting John ready for the thing is, John, what's your current, if you had to tell somebody, hey, you need to learn, you're learning Azure, kind of what would be the big picture story of where you would point them in the career? What's probably the hottest topics right now in Azure?
Joe, actually, it's interesting when you think about the hottest topics.
Mm.
Like, I think one of the most important topics is governance, and it's probably the least exciting most people will think about. But it's key to everything. If you really think about the cloud, yeah, there's cool services. There's AI services, and there's bots, and there's managed databases, and there's private endpoints. But fundamentally, if I'm going to use the cloud, identity is everything. Like the security perimeter shifts from the network to the identity. So I have to have a really solid understanding of Azure AD and MFA and conditional access, external identities. I love that. Like I love the Azure AD stuff. And then I think you have to understand things like the declarative technologies. We just did Bicep. So Bicep is phenomenal, a declarative way to create things. Azure Policy, a way to actually, on premises, you get these system admins who have to create stuff for you. Hey, I want this. And they look at the list and they're kind of grumpy about it. And if they agree it's okay, they'll create it for you. So they are the guardrails. They make sure you're doing things the right way. In the cloud, I don't have that. It's self-service. So as a company, I use things like Azure Policy to lay down those guardrails to make sure what's being deployed meets my requirements as a company, be it regulatory or my own just company direction. So I think things like tagging, things like Azure Security Center builds on Azure Policy with sort of built-in best practices. But for me, that's 101. Everyone should know identity. Everyone should know the governance. And then, yeah, networking and compute services and data services, for sure. I mean, they're super important. But the identity and the governance piece, I think that's the starting point. That should be where everyone goes.
Yeah, because I think cloud moves so fast, and with the pandemic, it moved faster. People didn't think about that security and governance story. They just hopped into the cloud thinking that it was a magic bullet that it was going to solve all the security woes, and it's not. And I like you, I love governance. I call it the Mitchell go take out the trash. Now I know what take out the trash means, but to Mitchell, my son, take out the trash is just the kitchen or his broom. And like, no, take out the trash is everything. And with governance, that would put in place, it would lock down all his technology until he took out all the trash. And so you're 100% right. I think it starts with identity. Security has been that way forever. I mean, you and I think we've both read the book, The Cuckoo's Egg, where, Cliff Stoll with a mainframe identity led to a hacker in Germany. And by the way, that's not a spoiler alert. That's the first chapter of the book that's there. But when you think about that, how do you get somebody started with identity aside from your wonderful videos? Because you and I have a good relationship. We talk about this stuff on the runs as we're going through it, especially. And I'll tell you what, Sarah, he made mention to it. And I think he downplays it a lot. When he says give back, he has always been there for whenever we had to go for a run, as long as there was food involved after the run. And as well as anytime I've asked him a question, hey, John, can you lay this out for me? I'm not quite sure. Can you give me a clarification? We're rhyming back and forth, or he's sending me it. So he gives back regularly. And so I love his YouTube stuff. It's hard for me to see him in a different light because I run with him and I know what that looks like. And so,
But when
he
he's
gives
all
back a
sweaty, you
tremendous
guys are
amount.
like,
Sweaty and dirty. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so when you think about identity, what's the hot trend going on with? So you still think identity and governance be the hot trend, or what do you think where people are going with cloud nowadays? When you work with customers, or when you work with a lot of the people that come on your YouTube channel, hey, John, can you do a video on this? Is there a theme that's kind of trending?
I think the identity and the governance is still not fully understood by a lot of people. So I think that's kind of a huge still grounding point. But in terms of, I think, a hot topic, I think it's PaaS, the whole platform as a service. I think a lot of people got into Azure and it was really just another data center. So they're doing VMs, maybe VM scale sets, but they're just treating it like a data center. I think what we are starting to see more of a shift is people looking at the PaaS services, be it Kubernetes based like AKS, be it app service plans, be it now the new mesh technologies, the managed database offerings, and then building on those to actually have things now like the AI services. So I see a huge trend around actually let's embrace some of the true value add of the cloud beyond just, hey, yeah, I can have those base services. But also you see more and more people now saying, okay, well, I like this cloud thing. I like the cloud model. I like kind of the Azure Resource Manager as that control plane. I like these services you've done. It's kind of weird, but how do I run that on-prem? So now you see things like Azure Arc, And so, okay, now I can bring the Azure stuff to my own Kubernetes cluster, or my own kind of virtual machines. And then I can layer on top data services and some of the AI. So you're seeing this interesting shift that the cloud is now actually coming back to on-premises. So I think there's a lot of exciting stuff happening, and it's just fun. There's always something to learn.
Why do you think people are looking to go back on-prem? Is it regulatory? Is it compliance? What's the main driver there?
So I think you have these elements of, one, there's just a certain amount of sunk cost. Look, I have this equipment I paid for. I'm not going to just stop using it. I have these leases on data centers. I'm going to use the cloud for newer stuff, but I really want to try and bring some of that cloud operational model and reducing some of that overhead in terms of maintenance to those existing investments, because I need to see them out through their life cycle. I've already paid for it. I need to use it. I think that's a part of it. I also think there's just a part of, sometimes you have these anchors. You have these things on premises that you can't move to the cloud. Maybe it's a mainframe, maybe it's some type of data that I have to keep on-prem. And I want to be able to run these new services that talk to it. And sometimes trying to move those in Azure, the latency is too big. It will take a performance hit. So I want to bring the sort of capabilities of Azure, but I need to run it close to this anchor thing that exists in my data center that I can't put in the cloud. So I think that can be another reason why they want to bring it to on-prem.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Yeah, because you have petabytes of data. Do you want to move it, or you just want to leave it in place, and then how do you work with it? And so you're saying Arc. Do you think Arc's going to replace Azure Stack, or do you think it's going to be a combination of both of those technologies?
No, I think we'll see a combination. So if you think about what is Azure Stack today, it's kind of different offerings, but obviously we have Azure Stack kind of Hub, which is this multi-node, highly resilient, large-scale appliance. Then you have things like Azure Stack Edge, which are these kind of 1U boxes, but that's hardware we provide, that you purchase it, and it just runs certain Azure services on that. Then there's things like Azure Stack HCI, which our partners offer, or you can install yourself, which runs this kind of very managed operating system. But that's already things local. You're managing them local for the most part. Then on top of those, you can bring Arc. So I can use Arc with HCI. So, hey, I have this Azure Stack HCI as this base fabric that has a certain type of service. Then I can add Arc to it to then bring me those richer services, that richer set of management. So I think it won't replace Stack. I think it will layer on top of it. I think we'll see them together, and different people, some of them will just use Arc. They won't need the Stack. They have their own infrastructure. They just want to bring the management. Some of them are looking maybe for that managed kind of hardware experience as well, and they'll like the Stack offering. So I think we'll see different combinations.
And what do you think? So what's coming up on John's YouTube video? What are you gonna? And we're gonna put a link into our podcast. What's coming up? You want to give us a little preview in the next couple of episodes of Meet John and Technology?
So what's coming up? So I know I've got some stuff around kind of some of the landing zone components. A lot of people are asking about the landing zones. They're not really understanding what they are and how they use them. So I'm going to do some stuff around the landing zones. A lot of people are asking about, look, we don't really understand this subnetting thing. So it's not really Azure specific, but it's causing a lot of confusion for people. So I was going to do kind of a master subnetting as kind of a fundamentals type video. I want to do some more work around some of the advanced templating functionality you can do, like deployment scripts and things like that. So there's a few things I've got planned. I have a whole list of like long-term videos to do, and I kind of tweak the order based on what I think is fun and what I'm seeing. So that's what's coming up in John's world. And again, every Sunday I just post the Azure updates. That's just, hey, what's new the last week. So that's just a recurring thing.
I would love to see more automation. I'm huge on automation, so I'd love to see that more about templates and scripting and working with run books, blueprints, all of that.
Yep.
Yeah, and I find a lot of my students, they're like, why don't you guys have like a class that's just all on automation? I'm like, right? We do. We need that for our administrators out there that want to automate things and make it a lot easier. But I'm totally on board with you with the identity and governance piece. And I'm really pleased that Microsoft's on board as well, and that we're releasing all these SC courses, because I think they're a huge, huge advantage that we need out there. A lot of companies, they have no idea. So it's crazy sometimes when I train some students, they have no idea what the security center is or
Right.
PIM or any of that. I'm just like, what? You're not using PIM? Are you insane?
Right.
So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Well, and even to that basic, I love the fact that you have a lot of people that start with cloud and have never had to subnet, never had I need to make so many hosts per my network ID and my subnet ID. How do I do that? And so usually in my classes, people don't know how to read CIDR notation. They don't
Right.
understand what that /16 means. So John, you're going to have a lot of fun with that because I do it in almost every one of my classes. And people, it's 20 minutes before. And I do, by the way, Sarah, I whiteboard it all. There's not a single slide. I put my 8-bit binary conversion table on the
Good
top and I show them
boy.
the math and we do 0 and 1s. And the only thing about it is everybody's like, hey, Matt, can you show us the IPv6 with the hexadecimal? I'm like, no, no.
IPv6 goes right over my head.
I'm hoping I don't have to do that math class. I hope I'm blissfully retired by the time people have to use IPv6. So, so John, if you do that, I'll just pause on that part of the video and not watch it. I'll just blissfully ignore it.
I'm not going to do IPv6 in the video for this weekend. I might do that in a future one.
So John, one last question we ask all of our guests. What's your favorite kind of, when you think about technology, what has been your most favorite thing you've done? You've had, a long career. You started with the VAX and VMS stuff way back when. What's your favorite memory when you think about it? Man, that's when I knew, or that was just a blast to do.
It's funny. I guess I still like creating things. So obviously, my role is I don't generally create things anymore. So you create architectures, but you're not writing code. But I used to be a developer, and I must say, I think the most fun I ever had was back when I worked for Deutsche Bank. And I was, funny enough, it was a Unix programming against an Oracle database. And I architected and wrote their financial messaging middleware system. So I pretty much single-handedly, for the UK, I wrote the middleware which connected to things like the Swift computer systems that actually sent the financial transactions that spoke to the back-end system. So I wrote all of that code, and I remember it was fun, that it wasn't processing quick enough, so I had to then change my module to be multi-threaded. I used Oracle OCI to actually interface with the database to speed things up. So I think from the most fun, I loved writing code. I don't do it anymore. I do the odd PowerShell thing, but it's always fun to kind of create that thing. So I think, that was kind of stand out as that was a phenomenal time for me that I got to design and write this entire messaging middleware system.
Get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's real cool. Sarah, any last questions we have, John, before we let him go on his day?
No, I just want to say thank you for taking your time out of your extremely busy schedule. And hopefully we didn't just throw off your routine for the day. But yeah, thank you for being with us. I know people just love to hear more about you as John. So I hope this opportunity that we did, we'll give that to them. So thank you.
No, I appreciate you having me. It was a lot of fun.
And with that, once again, I'll echo Sarah's comments. Thank you, John, so much. Good luck on your upcoming Ironman. I know you're going to just crush it. I'll look for the updates as you run through. Where are you running the Ironman?
So the next one is Tulsa. So I have Tulsa end of May. Then I have Coeur d'Alene end of June. Then I should be going to Canada, Mont Tremblant in August. But I don't know if they think that's going to happen or not because of the border situation.
I doubt the border will be open.
And then Kona. So I get to go to the World Championship this year. So in October, I get to go to Kona.
So you qualify. So you might be on TV. We might see you on TV because they broadcast Ironman.
I didn't qualify in the normal way. Once you've done 12, you get to go as a legacy athlete. So I've done 15 folds now. So I get to go because I've done so many. I'm way too slow to ever qualify in the traditional sense, but through sheer perseverance, I get to go to the World Championship. So that's this year.
That's awesome.
Wait, it's April, and how many are you going to do this year?
So I was supposed to do 5 this year, but Texas cancelled. Texas was supposed to be this weekend, so I'm doing 4 this year.
Good for you. Wow. I'm going to go take a nap now.
Yeah. I don't even know. I'm going to have to start waking up at 3 a.m. and then just hitting the snooze button until 7. So that's what I'm going to do. That's my plan. Anyways, John, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Graspable Cloud. I am Mongo with Konger, and everybody have just a great, great day.